Ayo, welcome back to Luck Management. I'm your host, Carter Loesch, and today's episode is going to be a special one. We have on Jim Plamondon, Notre Dame 1985 graduate, a co-president of the Roy Rogers Restaurants, and the president of the Plamondon Hospitality Groups. Jim, welcome to the podcast, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to talk to a fellow Notre Dame alum, albeit an MBA guy.
Yes, yes. There's always that back and forth of undergrad and what house did you stay in. I will say though, I'm unlike other graduate students because I did stay on Fisher grad, so I lived on campus.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, I was in Holy Cross Hall, which isn't even there anymore. It was torn down in I don't know, I graduated in 85, I think sometime in the 90s, they tore it down.
Well, my dad was there in 86, and every time he walked back, and I'm sure every time you've been back, the campus is completely different. I mean, it's grown like crazy, and there's still so many amazing buildings to be made. And they never run out of people to name them after.
That's
So,
because everybody's stroking big checks.
oh yeah, yeah. Hey, the Irish way. But I'm so excited to have you on today, and I got connected. This was really, really cool because your assistant Rachel reached out to me about wanting to get you on and talk about this idea of luck management. So the first question I just have to ask you is, are you lucky?
Yeah, I think I am lucky. And, that goes to what opportunities I've been given to be able to go to Notre Dame, right?
Yep.
The opportunity that my folks afforded me to get to Notre Dame, that's lucky. I didn't earn that necessarily. I mean, I guess I earned getting into Notre Dame, but certainly be able to attend, that was fortune. And I think a lot of things come your way with luck and timing, as long as you work hard at it.
Absolutely. And that's why I came up with this idea of luck management. So we were speaking about it a little bit right before we got started here, but I do think that you can have a lucky situation that you're put into. You can have a wonderful family. That is luck in and of itself. You can have people that support you. But you can also be thrust into tough situations, hard situations. But it's the hard work that you're doing because you can be given anything. You can be given $1 million and it can dwindle down to zero. It's how you're managing those moments, managing those relationships. I think luck comes down to the people that you know and how you're able to bridge and build out those relationships. And so that's why I started this podcast to be able to talk to fellow domers, but also just people on Wall Street, that people that are authors, people that are have seen success and want to share a little bit about why and how they got to where they got to. And so I'd love to walk through a little bit more about you and your experience with those lucky situations in your life.
Sure.
So the first thing that I wanted to do as well is just if you could give a 2-minute background of yourself. I gave a small little bio, but a little bit about who you are and what you're doing today.
Yeah, well, great, Carter. Thanks. So, yeah, graduate of Notre Dame, 1985, as you mentioned. I went on to law school after Notre Dame. I was a poli-sci major at Notre Dame. Went on to law school here in Washington, which is near where I grew up. I grew up in Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C. So I went to George Washington University Law School and worked for about 8 years as an attorney, a couple of years in private practice, and then for 5.5 years, I was a federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. So I was an assistant U.S. attorney and had great experiences there. And you talk about luck or fortune, my dad, our family was in the restaurant business, restaurant space. So growing up, he worked for the Marriott Corporation, running their restaurant division. And there was a division called Roy Rogers Restaurants that he oversaw back in the day, that was started in 1968, actually. I hate to tell you, I was born in 1963, so I'm a little older than you are, slightly older.
63.
Yeah. So anyway, so in the after 7.5 or 8 years in law, I joined his family business. He spun off from Marriott in 1980 to become a franchisee. And
Yep.
so my brother before me, my older brother, and I joined his company. And why did we do that? Well, because we both had successful careers. I had a successful career as an attorney, and he in
Yep.
commercial real estate. But we had the entrepreneurial spirit, the entrepreneurial bug that really our dad probably gave us, wanting to own your own business. That was just something that I always wanted to do. And had I stayed in law, I'm sure I would have hung my own shingle and been probably a lawyer with my own firm, just to be able to kind of call the shots, just because that's what I would rather do than being a small fish in a big law firm pond, which I was right out of law school. I worked at a very large law firm. It was fine, but it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. So we both had the opportunity to join the family business, and we bought it from him in the late 1990s. And that consisted of this chain of restaurants called Roy Rogers, which you mentioned at the outset. And that was a brand that our dad had run for Marriott, and he was a Roy Rogers franchisee. So we bought that business from him, have grown it over the years, continue to grow it. And then in the mid 90s, we also got in the hotel business. So I think you mentioned Plamondon Hospitality Partners. That's our hotel side of our business, where we own and develop and manage select service hotels under the Marriott and Hilton and Holiday Inn brands. So our business now consists of the Roy Rogers restaurant chain, which is 39 restaurants in 6 states, and then the hotel business, which is in a number of states as well under, as I mentioned, Marriott, Hilton, and Holiday Inn.
So you go 8 years coming out of school, you're a lawyer. My girlfriend, she's actually a family law attorney. So I hear all of her stories and all the craziness that comes along with that.
That must be crazy, Carter.
Yes, especially in Houston. There's a lot of money in Houston and there's
Yeah,
a lot of power being moved around.
gotcha.
Being able to do that for 8 years, I'm sure that you got to see, and in political science, you got to see the psychology of how people work and how maybe businesses are run by good people or maybe things that are run by bad people. I mean, from going from that law degree and then and working for the United States, how was that transition of going, okay, now I'm going to go into a traditional business and flipping from being a lawyer into
Yeah.
what you
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because if I were perfectly honest, which I will be with you, of course, it's as a prosecutor, you have you're dealing with a lot of bad people, right? Because this is criminal law. You're putting people in jail, right? So that was our job in Washington, D.C., which is doesn't have a short fall of criminal activity in it. So unfortunately, you kind of see the bad part of people, and there's a element of not trusting a lot of people that you're talking to. A lot of people aren't telling you the truth.
right?
So I had to check that at the door a little bit because when you get into business, you want to trust people. You have to trust people that are working for you, trust a variety of people that you're working with. And so but I think what that law background brought to me is very analytical background, and going into business with my brother, interestingly enough, who came out of sales. We have two different skill sets. I think his is more the sales and marketing piece, which is
Duo right
great.
there.
And I have a more of an analytical piece. I'm, kind of questioning and making sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. So it's a little different approach, but I think we work well together because we have those different skill sets. But it was a transition. There's no doubt about it. And
Absolutely.
honestly, Carter, there was a time when I was in law school where I thought, darn, I should get maybe a joint degree, JD MBA, to learn more about business. Because I think a lot of lawyers, come out of law school and they don't really know business.
Yeah.
And I practiced law for a number of years and came into business. I learned it very quickly, but from the ground up. I didn't learn it in school. I learned it really, by being on the job.
Yeah.
And
Boots on the ground, right?
yeah,
Being there and seeing it. And then, I mean, that's kind of lucky too in that respect that your brother had that previous background and that he could take on those pieces and you could be strong in your pieces together. And
no doubt.
this eventual push into building and joining this business, was this something that your dad wanted you to join all along? Was it time for you to take over the reins? He didn't want to do it anymore. How did that transition happen?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carter. And the answer is he didn't ask us to join the business, which makes it really, it was our decision. It's what we wanted to do, our passion, not his. So he was very welcoming and honored and humbled to think that we wanted to join his business and ultimately buy it and carry it on into the next generation. But it wasn't something he asked us to do. So I think that's positive. We've now just brought into our business the next generation, a third generation into our business. And it's my brother's two sons that have joined the business within the last year and a half. So that's kind of exciting. So we're going to carry on that tradition.
Oh, that's just a legacy. And I have to ask this one-off question. I mean, Shirley Temples and then Roy Rogers.
Yeah.
Started with your dad? Did he come up?
No, I think those drinks were around far before he was around.
Well, how did the name come about? I mean,
Oh
I
gosh.
get that. I always used to get that drink as a kid because I didn't want to be like girly and get a Shirley Temple.
No, you wouldn't want that. Well, look, I think the Roy Rogers drink had nothing to do with the Roy Rogers name.
Yeah,
Marriott was searching for the name of a brand that they were going to create, a fast food brand
yeah,
that, again, the founder of Marriott, Mr. Marriott Sr., wanted to compete with McDonald's. He created a fast food chain that was actually called early on Junior Hot Shops or Hot Shops Restaurants.
right.
And they wanted to find a name that they could take national. And they, somebody on his board of directors had a relationship with Roy Rogers, the cowboy, the movie star. And they said, well, why don't we approach Roy Rogers and see if he wants to put his name on our restaurant? So they licensed his name to put on all these restaurants. So he was, Carter, you're way too young, and I'm even a little young. He was a rock star. He was a movie star
Really.
beyond belief. Movies were not as ubiquitous as they are today in TV, but
Mhm.
still, he was the man. You name any movie star today, and Roy Rogers was that guy times 10.
Level. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right,
especially with, you know, limited viewing options.
right.
Everybody, if they saw a movie, everyone knows that name.
You got it. He was famous. He was like John Wayne. You've heard the name John Wayne, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
definitely.
Roy Rogers. It was just like that big.
It's always so crazy. It's like the cowboy westerns and how that like evolved and shaped our, country and everything.
And they're still around, i.e. Yellowstone.
I mean, I'm here in Houston, and I'll tell you what, I see a cowboy hat everywhere I go. Even though Houston is oil country and stuff like that, you still get a lot of cowboys out here.
Gotcha.
Um, so you end up joining the business, and I was looking through your website and you're seeing um a lot of your different principles of how you're working with people and how you want to make sure that you're uh creating an environment that works. Can you tell me about some of the differences of when you started and what you've personally brought to the business that you maybe had to change from your dad or something that you had to convince your brother on? Like what sort of stamps have you put on Roy Rogers that you're really proud of?
Well, it's a good question. One of the initial stamps was when I joined the business in 1995, we were a franchisee of Roy Rogers, not the franchisor company.
Hmm,
Marriott had since sold the brand to Hardee's Restaurants. So
right.
Marriott owned it as the franchisor, then they sold it to Hardee's Restaurants as the franchisor. We, in 2002, bought the brand. We bought the trademark and franchise system from Hardee's in 2002. So that was the biggest move we ever made. And we went from being a franchisee of a number of restaurants to the franchisor company owning the brand and developing the brand. So since that time, to be fair, it was a much larger chain under Marriott and Hardee's. They had,
Yeah.
when they owned it, they ended up selling off a lot of the restaurants. They were not succeeding at it. So we bought a much, much smaller chain than it was. But we ended up being the franchisor company by acquiring the trademark. And now we are the licensor. We provide the training and the marketing and the product development and the IT support and all the things that a franchisor company does. We are that company. So that was a
Yeah.
big change for us from going from franchisee to franchisor.
And what was that decision right there that you said you wanted to make that ultimate switch? Was it economical or was it also just the creating a legacy?
That's another good question. Half emotional, half business.
Yeah.
Um, Look, we saw what was happening to the brand, which was not a positive thing when Hardee's owned it, closing restaurants, not supporting the other franchisees. And by the way, this is a brand that our dad had started at Marriott back in 1965. It was started in 1968, really. He joined in 65. So
Right.
he bought it to right the ship and to carry on the legacy and something that our dad had started at Marriott. So it made some sense. And
And
it's financial.
right, being able to go and have my parents, they own a few different apartments and stuff, and they're kind of creating that. Of course, it's the economical side of things, but they're also trying to leave us something. And there's something really beautiful about being able to see that, but also take something that you've probably seen change throughout the years. And when you go to these massive fast food restaurants, everything becomes cut in corners and costs and things like that. And I'm sure that this integration of bringing it back, I mean, that whole movement, you guys have such a big push on fresh ingredients, treating your employees the right way. That's like amazing to see that you're able to take that back and actually provide it for people.
Yeah, I mean, look, we operate on this again, all on the restaurant side in a very competitive environment, right? We compete with the fast food guys, McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's, and they have thousands, tens of thousands of restaurants. So we recognize that we have 39. So how are we going to be different than those guys? Because they're huge. They have a marketing budget that's 300 times our budget, for example. They buy
Definitely.
food and commodities at probably, a third the price that we can because they're buying millions of pounds of hamburger meat and we're not. So we have to do it through quality. And so that's what our positioning is to have a different experience in a Roy Rogers restaurant, whether that's with the quality food that we serve or with the quality people who operate it and provide an upgraded level of hospitality that you're not going to get at a McDonald's or Burger King. Not wrong. They're very successful companies. I give them all the credit in the world. We just have to be different.
Ayo, this episode of Luck Management is brought to you by Charm ND. Love thee, Notre Dame Lucky Charms. I love Notre Dame, and when I went to school there, I wanted to have a way of holding a piece of Notre Dame in your hand. And the first iteration came from small little tubes and filling up with pieces from around Notre Dame, and it's evolved into a really cool and wonderful business that I truly cherish. And now we have necklaces, we have keychains, we have earrings, and we have bracelets. All of these pieces are from Notre Dame. So in our keychains, we have soil from Notre Dame's campus with 24 karat gold flakes. We have AstroTurf from the Notre Dame football stadium and wood shavings from the old seats of Notre Dame Stadium, a true classic of history and tradition of the Notre Dame football way. We also have gold helmets that are painted with the same gold that they use on the Notre Dame football helmets and from the Golden Dome, straight gold from the Golden Dome. All these pieces are so incredible to me, and I hope that you all enjoy them. And you can find me on charm_ND on Instagram, or you can go to our Etsy shop, which is Charm ND Store on Etsy. So please give it a check out and love the Charm ND.
Yeah, you have to be. And I want to get into a little bit of the hospitality group and the hotels and
Yeah.
how that shifts and different. But 50 years, I mean, personally for me, I'm 27 and every single day there's a new piece of news that almost makes you forget about what happened yesterday. So the fact that you have all that staying power and that you're able to continue to, evolve the brand and build it out is awesome.
We're a legacy brand.
Legacy. In terms of that, you guys have expanded into, you said about 39 different locations. Is there and you're in New Jersey, Virginia. I also saw Maryland and
Pennsylvania.
Virginia as well. Is there any hope or expansion outside of those states to go into other states, or is it building from within, staying within those areas and keep establishing yourself?
Yeah, I think there's more opportunity, Carter, to stay within and build from within concentrically, if you will, and not try to jump to Houston, Texas, where you are, for example, unless you want to buy a franchise, and we can talk after this podcast about the deal terms.
Okay. Okay.
But logically, the brand actually started here in Maryland too, and it had the majority of its units in this mid-Atlantic region. So it makes all the sense in the world as we expand to expand more in this region than trying to go out west or south or what have you to other parts of the country. Could that happen? It certainly could, but I think we're being realistic about what the growth opportunities are for our brand.
Absolutely. I mean, I was telling you a little bit earlier, I work in skills management, and a lot of these companies are always constantly looking to expand or grow operations. Hey, we have to move here. Hey, we need to have a presence there. But a lot of them kind of don't focus on from within, right?
Yeah.
Core, your employees. How are you? If you're able to create a really great product at 39 locations, what's the point of having 80 locations if you can't create the same sort of experience?
You're right. And we struggle with that, honestly, Carter. I mean, there are opportunities to grow. And then from a franchise perspective, they have to have the right people that you're going to grow with, the right franchise partners, and they got to share your values, right? And, it's not everybody does. And we've made mistakes, growing with franchise operators that aren't the right ones, but we hope that we've made better decisions for others, and we have, I think, on balance, growing with the right people, with the right values.
Breaking that down just a little bit, going and looking at starting a deal with a franchise, can you walk me through that, or for our luckies, I like to call them, our listeners, and what that process looks like and how you delve into bringing somebody onto the team?
Yeah, you look at three primary components, really. I'll make it very simple. You look at their experience, right? Are they operators? Are they a restaurant operator? You want a restaurant operator. This is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of work. It's not rocket science, but you better be in it to know what you're doing, because it can go sideways quickly. The restaurant business, it just can. We know that from personal experience. So find an operator with experience. It really should be restaurant experience. It definitely needs to be retail experience, right? To learn how to grow a business, manage others, manage employees, et cetera, interact with customers. It's a skill set not everybody has. The financial wherewithal, you got to have a certain amount of capital to be an operator, right? You're going to have to finance this building. It could cost you $1 million to $2 million to build a restaurant, a freestanding restaurant in the space that we're in today. It's going up. It seems like every day it's costing more and more money to build anything. So it's the experience, it's the financial wherewithal, and then the last thing, probably the most important, I touched on a minute ago, is the values. Do they share your value system? Is quality important to them? Is treating people important to them? Is standards important to them? Because if not, you're going to have this relationship, and if they don't think keeping a clean restaurant is important, then it's not going to be a very good relationship. So those three things are what you look for. So we have folks that approach us. We are out canvassing the marketplace for multi-unit restaurant operators, trying to convince them that Roy's would be a great addition to their portfolio. And we'll invite them in for, meet us and visit our restaurants, expose our brand to them. And, if it works out, then we grow with that partner. And believe me, there's a lot more, a lot more folks that it's not going to work out than do work out. I mean, you canvass the big marketplace, and it's just hard.
That's the thing. I mean, you want to make sure that they want you, you want them, that you have those qualities and that you have those abilities to say, is this going to work? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, it is a business, right? Like you could say, oh, he's a friend, But if he doesn't have one of those three qualities, I mean, that's just going to cause a lot of harm and
You bet.
bottom line right there.
You
So
bet.
I completely understand that.
Yep.
In terms in terms of just looking at the world of costs, and food costs have gone up like crazy.
Crazy.
Rent has gone up like crazy. Everybody's living in this time of feeling like we cannot pay for just the most minimal things. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of those struggles and how Roy Rogers works through that?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through it right now, Carter. Inflation is at an all-time high, as you just mentioned. Eating out traffic at all restaurants, including fast food restaurants, has decreased. And you may have read recently about McDonald's and $5 value menus, and Burger King and Wendy's do it, and
Trying.
gosh, Starbucks has declining traffic right now. So we're not immune to that. We're challenged with that too, primarily because of inflation. I think our food costs went through the roof with post-pandemic. I hate to bring that up again, so many years later, but it's still the result. Our high prices are the result of that pandemic. And then labor costs are also very high. You have to pay a lot more for fewer people that are working in this industry. We have states that are regulating, we got $15 minimum wage in Maryland, the state of Maryland, that just went into effect in January
Yeah.
of this year. So we've had to increase our prices, and as the more we increase our prices, the higher it is to get guests to come in to pay. So I think people are skipping meals out, right? They're eating at home a little bit more. There's a little bit more work from home going on. So that person that used to eat out 3 days a week is maybe eating it out twice a week or once a week. Or if they ate out once a week, they're doing it every other week. We're all seeing that, McDonald's included. So
Yeah, everybody is.
we haven't solved that problem. We're trying to, again, create a value proposition to say, look, come to Roy Rogers because of the value proposition. It is a higher quality. It is a nicer experience. If you're going to spend your hard-earned dollars, come spend it with us, and don't go to one of our competitors. Not trying to be critical about the competitors, but where the food quality might not be as strong, or the cleanliness or the hospitality, that we're trying to, how can we be different to attract those customers?
Definitely. And I think of like brick and mortar stores or things like that, like where everyone said malls were dying. It's like, no, you have to have a reason to get somebody into the store. And times are tight, yeah. I mean, I have a good job. I work very hard for my money, and I love what I do. But especially when you see everything going on in the news, you're questioning on where do you want to spend that
Yeah,
cap? Or, you know, you spent on this, but gas has gone up $1 in the last couple of years.
right.
There's all those factors there, but that's really cool that you're saying, hey, we can't cut the prices. I mean, that is something that is, logistically hard and is just how the whole global economy is coming. But if we can create an experience, you're going to feel a lot better about spending those dollars there.
You hit it right on the head.
Wow, that's really, really cool. And I don't think and that takes a lot of management from your teams and being all on the same page right there. Um, and so I guess shifting a little bit into the hospitality group as a whole,
Yeah.
can you talk to me a little bit? And your core principles are exactly the same on what you want from your company,
Yeah.
but can you talk to me a little bit about those differences that you're seeing from hotels to from food?
Yeah, well, it's very, very different. First of all, as a food operator, Roy Rogers, we're the franchisor company, as I said. So as a hotel operator, we're a franchisee. We are a franchisee of 3 very strong brands out there, top quality brands, particular Marriott and Hilton, who we've been aligned with for a number of years, are best in class. And so they're doing all the heavy lifting that we pay. In this case, we pay royalties to them to be able to operate the brands that we operate. And these are hotels, Carter, like Courtyard by Marriott, or
Definitely.
Residence Inn by Marriott, or Homewood Suites by Hilton. Those are the types of brands that we're operating. So it's a very different business model where I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier because we're not creating the marketing or the strategies or the technology. We're executing.
Yeah.
So merely executing, that's easier said than done, but
Sure.
we've got these very powerful brands, very powerful loyalty programs with Marriott and Hilton. If you do any traveling, I'm sure you're a member of one or both of them. And so that's the beauty of being a franchisee. And the hotel market, well, during the pandemic was very tough for a period of time. It has bounced back very strongly. So people, while they may be cutting back on their meals away from home, their travel is still, they're still willing to travel. So
Pretty,
we're getting that, we're the beneficiary of that. Our occupancy levels you look at every day and every month and every year are pretty much at or above where they were before the pandemic. And the rates, because of inflation and costs, are significantly higher than they were. So
yeah.
we're having a lot of success on the hotel side, and we're very blessed to again be aligned with some very top tier brands.
No, those are two top tier brands. I mean, when you think of hotels, those are the two that you ultimately think of.
Right.
In terms of outside forces and stuff like that, what are your thoughts on this VRBO, Airbnb sort of trend? Do you think it's kind of created its own niche market where people will still always still go to hotels and those are in more opportunistic spots because
Right.
they've been built in those areas where
Yeah.
Airbnb is a completely different experience. Have you felt any changes or differences there?
Yeah, we really haven't in our markets, Carter. Again, ours is more business travel and some leisure travel, but we're not in resorts where you're more inclined to get an Airbnb or a VRBO. I
Yeah,
think that's typically where people are doing that. And you've still got a large segment of the population still wants to be in a hotel. They're not necessarily comfortable in being somebody's house.
yeah.
We're coexisting just fine. Marriott and Hilton are certainly very aware of that impact, but I don't think it's affecting our markets so much as they got to figure it out more globally for bigger cities or resort properties or things of that nature. Uh,
Funny enough, my uncle Keith, he actually worked at the Hilton in Los Angeles, and he was good friends with Paris Hilton for many years and things like that, and always brought back all those cool stories and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So you've you've built this, you've moved from being a lawyer and going into this business, and you've created this family of companies that are operating. And you talk about this lasting legacy of bringing in new people into the business and things like that. You guys have done some incredible things. What does the future look like for your companies?
Yeah, I think it's continued growth, Carter, in terms of units and markets that we're going to enter. So we want to, that's what I think makes this business and what gets us excited and why we like to come into the office every day is to see growth. And we have over 1,000 associates that work for us. And there's nothing more exciting than opening a new restaurant or a new hotel. We're going to open 2 new hotels, one building, but 2 brands down in outside of Augusta, Georgia, during the month of September.
No way.
We already have a hotel down there. It's a town called Grovetown, Georgia, which is one town over from Augusta. And so anyway, but it's exciting. We'll go down for the opening and see all these new associates, with their new jobs. And gosh darn, we have people that work for us for a long time. We have great tenure and longevity. And people have been with us for 20, 25, 30, 35 years. That's incredible. And to think that we've provided this job opportunity. I remember taking somebody out. We took them out to dinner for their 25th anniversary. And she said to my brother and I, we were having dinner with them. She said, you don't realize, but Roy Rogers has been my life. That's my life. It's all I've done for my career. And that's humbling to hear somebody tell you that, right?
That is so fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ayo Luckies, this is Carter Loesch from the Luck Management Podcast, and it is my distinct pleasure today to announce t-shirts have been released. Available on my Instagram page for _Luck Management and also on CharmND's Etsy shop. And now these shirts are a great way for you to rep your love for the podcast, your appreciation and support for the show, and just to share and work out in, go walking in, walk your dog in. Heck, go to the pool in the shirt. Somebody sees it. Whoa, that's such a cool shirt. Where'd you get that? Yeah, it's a really cool podcast. You should check it out. The Luck Management Podcast. And, this shirt, even though it's simple, it embodies the luck management lifestyle. And I would so appreciate it if you would consider purchasing it and wearing it in pride and in your love for Notre Dame. So please check it out and keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace. Ayo, today's episode is brought to you by Teresa McKenna's Life in Christmas Letters, a story of friendship, love, and loyalty. It's her debut novel, and Teresa McKenna is an 89 graduate, and this story is all about Notre Dame love. Her novel is a semi-autobiographical and about much more than just Christmas. It's a year-round celebration of the little moments and memories of life. The narrative, though fictional, touches on a wide range of topics, including the joys and challenges of motherhood, the intricacies of relationships, the love of family, unexpected life changes, and much more. The story weaves together the Christmas letters she and her husband have written over the last 2 decades into an exploration of life's important moments. This book is perfect for anyone who loves a heartwarming read with relatable characters, learning to navigate life, family, and relationships. And if you love Notre Dame, it's a must read. The book is available in several formats on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. An exclusive ND Art edition featuring artwork by Notre Dame artist Kathleen Kiefer is also available from Ingram Spark on teresamckenna-author.com. Please check it out and enjoy this book. Thanks. Now let's get back to the show.
That is fantastic. What your your dad started and what you've been able to build for so many years is that you're supplying people's lives. Like you have been able to create an environment and a family. And that's what I want to do with this podcast. That's what I want to do with the businesses and the places I work at or the people that I know. It's about building like a family and a culture. So
Yeah.
that's probably the most rewarding thing out of everything. I mean, you can make money, you can get buy houses, have a hotel room whenever you want it. But at the end of the day, when someone says thank you for that, I'm sure that that's just the icing on the cake.
You bet.
Oh, cool. Well, I think we've got into business very heavily here, so I want to get into some subjective and different conversations that tell me a little bit more about you and your life.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, that's my dog.
that's okay.
Hey, Lorelai, stop. So you mentioned earlier that you're a serial entrepreneur and
Yeah,
you work
yes.
in the business world. Can you give one piece of advice that helped benefit you to be good as a business person and working?
Yeah, I mean, again, in our space, I think it's all about the people that work for you, right? So it's take care of the people that work for you. That's my one piece of advice is you have to, Mr. Marriott, the founder of the Marriott Corporation used to say, take care of your employees and your employees will take care of your guests and your guests will keep coming back over and over. And I think that adage rings true for any business. Got to take care of the employees. I'm not doing this myself. I'm not in our restaurants and our hotels every day.
Right.
We have to make sure that we have a culture that provides for and good compensation for them, and then just a good place to work, right? Good set of values. So I think that's the most important thing is taking care of your employees.
Definitely. You're at a dinner, say you guys go to Roy Rogers, and
Mm.
you can bring a, 3 dream dinner guests. Who would you like to have sitting at your table? They could be past, they could be alive, they could be family members. Who would you like to sit down with and have for dinner?
Well, since my kids are all out of this house, I'd like to have all my kids together for dinner at Roy Rogers. How's that?
Fair
Now, they're
enough.
not famous, but I'll go the route of athletes. Since you've got a Notre Dame pennant hanging behind you, I'll say, how cool would it be to have Lou Holtz at dinner, right? Like to meet that guy. I'm a Washington, well, now they're the Commanders, but they used to be the Washington Redskins fan. So I'd like to have, did you ever know Coach Joe Gibbs? You know
Joey,
that,
yeah.
right? He'd be cool to have at dinner.
Ab-
And then, because he's motivational. And then I'm going to say my childhood idol, when I was a kid, I was a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. So I'd like to have Roberto Clemente there. Do you know that name?
Yeah, those are star-studded people right there. That would be
So those are three sports figures. I went sports instead of political or historical.
those three would, I think that'd be a great conversation, from college motivation with Lou Holtz to Gibbs, and I mean the fact that he won a or I think he won multiple Super Bowls with
Three.
three Super Bowls with the Redskins, and then
Right.
Clemente, like groundbreaking on everything that he did, and gone too soon, but just the work that he did was phenomenal.
There you go. So you know the names. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great names, and I think they'd all enjoy it right there.
I don't know if they'd enjoy it, but I would.
Um, Now you've accomplished a lot of great things in your life, and you're always working to continue to do more. But is there anything on the bucket list that you are aspiring towards?
Oh, well, Carter, I've been blessed with success, and I'm 61 now, so I'm not retiring tomorrow, but I do want to spend more time with family. So bucket list is still spending more time with my wife and kids and traveling, and so I like to still travel the world a little bit more. I always had as a goal when we were younger, my wife and I wrote down we wanted to visit 100 countries. So that's on our bucket list. I think we're at 50 some odd. So we've been good, but we still got a long way to go.
50 is fantastic.
Yeah,
I've been lucky enough to get to, I think it's up to 16 countries,
there you
and
go.
it it's phenomenal. The amount of things that you can learn, and just soaking in that culture, it's unlike anything else.
Love it.
Uh, is there a favorite country out of that you've been to so far?
I spent, well, at Notre Dame, I spent junior year abroad in London. So, or junior fall semester abroad, I should say, not the year. So I loved the UK, love London, love Italy. Just came back from Italy not long ago, so love that. I haven't been to South America yet, so it's on my list. I want to
Uh,
get down there.
I've done Central America, so I've done Belize, which Belize, if you've ever get the shot, it is awesome.
Okay.
Phenomenal country, beautiful. Go to San Juan, is a little island off there, and it's beautiful country for the fact that they have a ton of people go for snorkeling and
Mhm.
diving, and so a lot of money moves through there. But they have really great laws to keep preservation of the land. The food
Nice.
always fresh. You're not getting fried chicken on an island, which so many of these places love to do. It's like you're getting
Good.
fish everywhere you go. Um, so just one place to look out for.
Will do.
And then I also love Costa Rica, if you've ever been. But
Nope.
I I think travel is so key, and it's one of the things that always brought me to be curious about things. I've lived in a bunch of different places, and it gives you a different perspective that lets you step out of yourself. And so I hope you get to 100 soon.
I think I remember back when I was a high school junior or whatever, applying to Notre Dame and writing an essay, which for the record, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't get into Notre Dame today. I did back in 1981. I started there. Um, but I think I remember in my essay talking about travel and how it opens up a world of different windows and opportunities and perspectives on our world and culture and life. So it'd be funny to dig up that essay. I don't know how good it is anymore, but
Yeah, bring it back out.
Hmm?
I'd love to see that. A little blast from the past right there.
Right, right.
Okay. So somehow, some way, you decide to run for president.
Yep.
You get to make one executive order. It could be serious, it could be silly. What is one thing that you are going to do executive order as a president?
Well, first of all, I know I'll never be president because I would never want to run for president. I think
Fair enough.
let's be clear on that. Probably not electable because I can't imagine getting more people than maybe my wife. I'm not even sure if my wife would vote for me, but maybe I could convince my kids to vote for me.
Hey, some Roy Rogers employees.
Right. Oh God. So you know what? One executive order, it would be for all elections, current and future, no negativity. How's that? Executive order that bans negative ads.
Man, that would be awesome. I think that there's so much of a world. It's just nobody answers any questions, and it's always like not what you've done personally, it's what they haven't done. And if
Mm,
people just actually just be like positive on this is what I want to do or not coming at somebody else, the world would be a much better place.
got it. Well, I don't know when your podcast, if this is going to air or when it's going to air, but we're right in the middle of a election season here.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should just turn the TV off or the radio off and not listen to it.
Yeah. It's well, yeah, they're just looking for clicks, and sometimes what you see is just the community around you is the thing that actually has the biggest impact. So,
You bet. You
uh,
bet.
so you have you spoke a lot about your father and joining the business, but is there anybody that has been maybe the most critical or the most crucial, the most impact in your life? Who holds that title?
Well, it's my dad. I mean, clearly for business, he's the one that we learned from, and we're, we grew up in the business and as kids, and then he is our mentor when we joined the business in the mid '90s for a long, long time. He passed away about 4 years ago, so he's been a great mentor. I mean, the other most important person in my life is my wife, who's a great mentor, and she kind of sets me straight. And she went to Dartmouth. She didn't go to Notre Dame like me, but that's okay.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. Yeah.
I learn a lot from her. So I think those are the most important folks. And the other person that's very critical in my life now that I work with every day is my brother. We own this business together. So I think we, work together well and share ideas and strategies and create, ideas for moving the business forward together. So I think it's, those are all family members that have been really important to me and continue to be important to me.
Yeah, and I will say from speaking to anyone on this podcast, the familial relationship that you have, it has such a profound impact on how you treat others and being able to have a business with your brother. My brother's 3 years older than me. I hope that one day that I get to have a business with him too and be
Cool.
able to share in that. And I love that. So that's really cool that you keep that tight knit. I can see that through everything that you do.
Yeah.
And the last few questions I have some rapid fire questions. So
Uh-oh.
whatever comes to mind, just let it go.
Okay, let's go.
What is one talent that you wish you had?
Ayo Luckies, today's episode is brought to you by Paul Camish Fine Art. Notre Dame art by Paul Camish is truly amazing. On paulcamish.com, that's PaulKamish.com. He has Newt Rockne sculptures with his famous fedora. He's got sculptures of Notre Dame, Mary Our Mother. He has Notre Dame drawings of the campus and the main building. He has so many amazing pieces from what Notre Dame is and why Notre Dame is so special. And I implore you all to take a look, enjoy the art, and see why it is so special of what he is doing. He is a true embodiment of the luck management lifestyle. And if you do end up purchasing something, leave a note. Say that the Luck Management podcast was there and brought you to his website. It's truly special things. He does some amazing, amazing work, and he'll be a future guest on the podcast. So check out paulcamish.com for his Notre Dame Duloc collection. Now let's get back to the show.
I wish I were a great singer.
Man, wouldn't that be nice?
It'd be cool to be up on stage and have 25,000 screaming fans. How cool would that be?
That would be awesome. That
Yeah,
would be very cool.
I just
What
made that up.
what is the best thing that happened to you this week?
Uh, my wife and I just bought a home in Vermont for vacation and for maybe one day retiring too. So that happened like last Wednesday.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
You a big skier or
We are.
ski?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I must say Vermont in the summer is nicer than Vermont in the winter.
Truly, truly. That'll be fantastic to be up there. Get a little bit of Ben and Jerry's, you're good to go.
There you go.
Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Speaking of singing, I don't know that I have a go-to song. My favorite band is the Eagles. So maybe Take It Easy by the Eagles. How's that?
Classic.
You're not going to make me sing it, I hope.
Oh, no. I mean, that's the one talent you wish you had. We'll save that for the next one.
Please.
Is the metaphorical glass half full or half empty?
It has to be half full. I mean, when you're in business and growing a business, it better be half full.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic, and I think I probably am. I think I'm realistic, so I'm not overly half full. I'm not all the way full because I just think that's important for credibility. But I think you better be an optimist to be in this business.
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, it's not about what happens, it's how you react, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Window or aisle seat?
I'll always.
Aisle always.
Mhm.
When I was younger, I used to love the window seat because I used to just count baseball fields every time you take off. Like, how many could I see?
Yeah,
As I've gotten older, yeah, I want the space. Give me the leg room.
right. Stick your leg out in the aisle and hope you don't trip the flight attendant.
Absolutely. And then the last one is once again, are you lucky?
Yeah, I think I am. I'm blessed is another way of saying lucky. I think both. It's interesting, Carter, if you haven't already, a competing podcast is called How I Built This. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I've listened to it before. Yeah.
On NPR, Guy Raz is the moderator, and he at the end of his podcast always asks these really kind of rock star business entrepreneurs and innovators. He says, to what do you attribute your success? Is it hard work? Is it intellect or luck or something? It's a question like that. And almost 9 out of 10 or maybe 10 out of 10 say luck as a primary. They all say hard work because they're all hard work. You didn't get to be building this incredible company without a lot of hard work. And I think we have put in the hard work at this company too, but it's also timing, right? And luck. So, and been put in situations that you're just fortunate about. And I think they would all admit that too. So I'd say I'm lucky, I'm blessed. I mean, I got we talked about great family business that I joined 25 years ago and got a great business partner, my brother, got a great family, went to a great college, got a good education. I mean, that's all, you make some of that, but it's also, you're fortunate. My parents, they were able to send me to Notre Dame. So I got lucky there, right? So not everybody has that. And I don't know. I just think it's a blend of both. It's hard work and luck and maybe a little bit of skill.
Hey, don't cut yourself off so short. Like, I mean, you've done some really, really cool things. And I think that all the Luckies are going to be able to hear this and look up Roy Rogers even more so and see what you're doing and see how they can apply that to their lives. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being able to come on and explore the luck management lifestyle, I like to call it. It's really, really cool to be able to speak to you and hear about some of your philosophies on life.
Thanks, Carter. Happy trails.
Yeah. So you can find us on Apple or Spotify. We're also on YouTube. But as always, keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace.